Aquarius, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started, my friends, and see what messages we have for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead, keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well. Okay, Aquarius, I'm sort of getting the sense for you this week that closure is heavy on your mind. You're wanting to bring like a peaceful outcome, peaceful resolution. Yeah, you need to keep going. There is something that needs your attention this week, and I feel like you need to go the distance with it and maybe look at it from a different perspective, because I feel like there is communication and closure necessary. It's like something needs to get cleaned up and brought to a more peaceful outcome. You know, like it feels like you have to keep going on something, but I almost feel like you're overthinking something and that you almost need a new perspective when it comes to the way you're looking at this moment in time from the past that seems to be very heavy on your mind this week. It's almost like you have to look at it from a different perspective. And it feels like that perspective could change how you decide to communicate or receive messages. You know what I mean? Like seeing that message in a bottle is sort of guiding me to this idea that you could be receiving some messaging, or you might be thinking of putting another message out there. And that regardless if you're the sender or the receiver of the message, it's like you need to look at things from a different perspective and to be open to shifting your perspective and to keep moving towards that peaceful resolution that I think you're wanting here. It feels like you're sort of at this point where you just want things to be cleared up. You know, you want things to get cleared up. I feel like you want to have a very clarifying conversation about something with someone. And it's about the long-term goal here for you. It's about the long-term goal here for you. It's like you're either in or you're calling in this idea of a harmonious relationship. And you're wanting to bring peace to something so that you can, it's almost like so that you can feel like you can breathe again. I feel like this has been going on for some time and that there was some outcome in the past that just didn't feel fair. And you're trying to bring harmony to that, you know, and so you just have to keep going. But it's interesting that you're also sort of being guided to shift your perspective. So you might be looking at this truly from one angle, you know, one-sided. You might just be looking at it from, let's say, your perspective. And so it's interesting to try to sort of sit in it from other perspectives, because I feel like that's going to be necessary if you want to keep going. Like you can't just look at it from your perspective. It's almost like you're being invited here to be open to new perspectives and new ways of communicating and observing this situation. Interesting. There's the Ace of Swords. Yeah, there's a conversation here. There's a conversation about a past time that sort of involved a loss, a setback, a disappointment, something that felt like a rejection. But actually, you can see, if you can see it from a different perspective, you'll see that this was actually a turning point that moved you in a new direction. So it wasn't a loss. It wasn't a setback. And it's like you have to sort of see it in a different way. Like, what was the purpose of this moment in time that is heavy on your mind? I feel like you're starting to see it in a different way with that Ace of Swords and that conversation, that communication. It's coming. It's moving towards you. Yeah, there's the Page of Swords with the Knight of Cups. So it's interesting. I think you are going to receive a message, or you're ready to send a message, and that you're being guided to have an open heart and to sort of have realistic expectations based on a perspective that may be different than the one that you currently have. Like to sort of open yourself up to a new perspective and to put your mind at rest when it comes to sort of an older way of thinking about this. Like, it might be that you're still recovering from this moment, you know, and so it's like you need to put your mind to rest when it comes to the idea that it's the worst of it's over. Like you've already gone through this this challenge, and now you can sort of put your mind at rest and look at it from a different perspective. You know, I'm sort of being reminded of this idea that it's important to find the good in things that we remember as being bad, quote unquote. You know, good, bad, those are judgments that we give experiences, but it's this idea of there was something good there that shifted for you. You know, even though it was a painful and difficult period, it led to you being where you are right now. And I feel like there's something there that is needing a perspective shift. It's a new way of looking at this. It's a new way of thinking about it and perceiving it. And I think it's going to assist you in this conversation. It's going to bring things into balance where there was a lack of balance. There may have been a period here where you were sort of very generous and giving and maybe not receiving, or maybe the other way around, that you were sort of receiving a lot from someone else, like you were receiving you know, it's interesting as I'm sort of trying to find the words, I'm sort of feeling this other feeling that says like you might not have thought that this was a sacrifice, but now you see that it was a sacrifice. It's interesting. There's something here that feels like an investment that ended out being a sacrifice. Like you were investing in something, and then it sort of ended up letting you down in some way. But now you're being invited to look at this completely differently and to say that moment led to all of this other abundance. So was it a sacrifice? You know, or perhaps it was just part of the journey. You know, it's interesting. You're really being guided to have a new way of looking at this, to recover from whatever happened and walk away from those emotional sort of pitfalls where we feel like a victim, or we feel like we missed an opportunity. It's interesting. It's like you're being guided to just move past those emotions, to say, and to look at it in a different way, you know, almost to look at it as being a marker in your path that led you down a different road. You know, like if that had not happened, you might not be where you are right now. And I feel like where you are right now is in a position where you're sort of integrating and looking at everything and moving towards something new. And you're really being guided to keep going. There's the Knight of Swords coming in to shake things up, moving rather quickly. But again, I'm feeling this idea of not forcing things. Like, you know, don't put yourself under duress. Don't push yourself. Don't force yourself. Allow this to sort of recover naturally. You don't want to sort of just go running in a way that feels almost distracted in order to make movement here. This seems like you're needing to keep going on the path that you're walking on, even though it seems like you're not sure where it's going to end up. The outcome isn't what's critical here for you, Aquarius. It's the journey. It's the journey and the letting go. It's the journey and the letting go and the reframing of something. The reframing the narrative. You've got to change the narrative and laugh where you once cried. You know, I'm getting a lot of that kind of messaging coming through, this idea of finding the good where you would have labeled it bad. Laughing where you once cried, like really changing the narrative on something in order to heal it. You know, there's the Six of Cups. So this is something from the past that is coming back into your thoughts quite heavily here, so that you can find a way to reframe it and then move past it. But I do feel like there's a conversation that's either coming, it's incoming, or it's outgoing. There is some kind of communication here. And it involves being open, but also having this new perspective. Once this conversation takes place, it feels like it's going to be really important to have this new perspective, so that you're not just rehashing the past, but you're able to look at this with fresh perspective to say, I see the purpose of this now. It wasn't that I was supposed to sort of label myself as a victim or see myself as having setbacks and sort of not having confidence in myself anymore. If anything, I think this situation has given you an immense amount of confidence and has shifted your perspective, or is trying to shift your perspective now so that you can see this in a new way and recover from it. You know, I think the conversation that you're going to be having is going to be very illuminating, and I think it's going to show you the truth about something, and it's also going to help you get distance from anything lingering with this situation. It's interesting. I think that there's a lot of fulfillment waiting for you around that corner that you can't see around. There's the 8 of Cups again. You can't quite see around that corner, but I feel like it's bringing in a lot of feelings of happiness and joy and prosperity for you. But it's gotta come when you're able to sort of shift your perspective about this past event. It feels like a past relationship. It feels like a past person that you need to clear the air with. And then after you clear the air with them, it's like you'll bring closure to it in so many ways. You know, personal closure for them. And it's like you'll just be closing that chapter. You'll just be closing that chapter. And I feel like that will serve you. You'll be able to move forward. But I do think you have something to say. You know, when I look at all these swords and these knights and these pages, it really feels like you have something to say before you close this. And the guidance is to shift your perspective so that you're not looking at it from one way only, so that you're able to see the whole sort of continuum of this experience. Very interesting reading for you this week, Aquarius. I hope it's been helpful. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me. If this reading has resonated, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. I appreciate your support so much. And I look forward to seeing you again and reading for you again. I'm sending you so much love and light, my friends. Take care.